Did you know that there are two habits that on the surface look like they help relationships, but research shows that these habits actually silently destroy the relationships that matter most to us? So today we're going to take a look at what these two habits are, and more importantly, give 3 best practices to help us stand on the solid ground of relationships and create even deeper connection with the person who matters most to you. The first habit that on the surface looks like it's helpful, but actually erodes relationships is neglecting our own needs. And it comes with this premise: your partner's job is not to make you happy, and vice versa. Your job is not to make your partner happy. We can't make anyone feel a certain way. We can support an environment that's conducive to their fulfillment, conducive to their happiness, and vice versa. But the only person who dictates whether or not you are happy is yourself. Needs communicate with us often like a feather's touch at first. And it will do so through your longing and your discontent. It will kind of feel like, oh, I'm feeling like I want more of this or less of that, but it's quiet. And it's challenging to decipher that when you were in the whirlwind of daily activities and responsibilities. And so you've got the responsibility of your job with your partner, how you two are going to do chores together and how you're going to cook food together and how you guys are going to be with the kids if you guys have kids. It's all of those things that scream at us that then we prioritize other people because you're generous, you're caring, you're loving. And so seeing other people thrive actually feels good. But slowly, if we put our own needs on the back burner long enough, then what ends up happening is instead of being what I like to call be moved by the feather's touch, we get slammed by the 2x4. We'll explode, or we'll go into depression, or we will generate anxiety. All kinds of other symptoms will come up when we push down the very calling that's coming forth from within. For example, you might be thinking, you need to walk more. You need to take care of your body more. You need to exercise more. But the time that you would be exercising is the time that you're working late, or the time that you're taking care of the kids, or the time that you're hanging out with your partner. And there's a part of you that feels guilty because you want to please them, you want to pour into them. That matters to you also. And so you feel at odds. One of the trickiest things is identifying what are our needs. What are the things that would actually help us feel fulfilled? Because they often speak to us so quietly. If you're looking for a tool to help you identify your needs, there's a great game called Grok, G-R-O-K. And the game is filled with emotions and needs. And you get to actually, there's a card game and you can lay out the cards and see what resonates with you. Do you have the need for adventure right now? Or do you have a need for being by yourself? Do you have a need for snuggling and just physical touch? What are the needs that you have? And as you identify these cards, the ones that really are speaking to you, you'll feel called to those. And it's a way for you to identify your needs. One of the needs that we all have is play. In fact, there's this great book by Stuart Brown, medical doctor, that wrote all this research around play and how it helps us feel more fulfilled and more alive. And it's one of the things that we lose as we become adults, is we will lose that playtime if we're not intentional with it. And so there's this great example. I wanted to read you this story. It's right in the beginning out of page 7, where he's talking about this woman named Laurel, the CEO, who had lost all the zest, who had lost the passion. Her relationship wasn't doing well. And here's her story. Check this out. One example of this is Laura, a CEO of a successful commercial real estate company. During her late 20s, Laurel married, had 2 children, and while establishing her business, her relationship with her husband was close, it was compatible, and she adored her 4-year-old and 10-year-old. She saw herself blessed and fortunate. Her days hummed like a turbocharged engine. Up at 5, she usually ran 4 or 5 miles on odd days and swam and lifted weights on even days. She even did workouts on weekends and usually had enough steam left over for quality time with her supportive husband and kids, church, and her closest friends. She felt that she had a healthy mix of play and work. But when she passed 40, she began to dread her schedule. She didn't yet feel like a need to quit any of her commitments or ease off, but slowly realized that though she had fun with her husband and kids and a sense of enthusiasm about work, she was missing something: joy. So Laurel set about finding where it had gone. She remembered back to her earliest joyful memories and realized they centered on horses. As she reconstructed her own play history, she realized that horses had grabbed her from the very first time she saw one. Maybe you can relate to this. As a toddler, she loved bouncing on her hobby horse. One of her fondest memories was befriending a local backyard horse and secretly riding it at age 7. She would entice the horse to the fence with carrots and coax it to allow her to climb up and ride bareback, completely unbeknownst to the owner or her parents. As dangerous as it was for a 7-year-old to ride this way, it gave Laurel a sense of her own power. Later, she started hanging around stables, becoming an accomplished horsewoman, and as a young adult, competing as a professional rider. She eventually burned out on horse shows and settled into marriage and business. She now realized that she longed just to ride. So the question is, if you were to tune into yourself right now, what are you longing for more? It might not be horses. It might be something else. It might be painting. It might be being creative. It might be adventuring. What are you longing for? Allowing yourself to listen to that longing feeling that you have. Laurel decided to make this happen. She found a horse to lease and began to ride again. The feeling of joy and exhilaration came back the very first time she climbed on that horse. Now she makes the time to go riding once a week. What surprised her most, since she incorporated the pure play of riding back into her life, is how complete and whole she now feels in all the other areas of her life. The bloom of irrational bliss she experiences in the care of her horse, from riding it regularly and even occasionally riding it again in small local shows, has now spilled over into her family and work life. The little chores of daily living don't seem so difficult anymore. She's also surprised by the subtle shift in her relationship with her husband. It's just easier now, she says. I look forward to talking more often now. Before rediscovering her horse-based play, when she approached her husband for a discussion, she was defensive and anticipating difficulties or thinking how that things needed to be done. It felt more like job sharing than being a couple. And then it goes on to say just how much that play has expanded her life. And so that is a beautiful example of when we take it upon ourselves to say, look, it's not my partner's job to fulfill my needs. They can support me in me fulfilling my needs. They can be with me if one of the needs is physical touch. They can facilitate that. But our job is to know our own needs and prioritize those needs in such a way that we're able to maintain our own responsibilities and commitments to those that we love, but we're also able to maintain the responsibility and commitment we have to ourselves to fill up our own tank so that we can be the best versions of ourselves for our family, best versions of ourselves for our partner, best versions of ourselves for the job. Don't think of yourself as a workhorse, just grinding day in and day out. How would you treat yourself, staying on the horse theme, if you're a thoroughbred? You allowed yourself time to really take care of yourself so that you are at your best. This is not selfish. I invite you to reframe this is actually what generosity looks like. So you're actually giving of the best of yourself to your family and to others. So that is the first habit that on the surface looks good, where you're pouring into everybody else, but neglecting your own needs, that actually long-term has way more detrimental effects. And if you actually don't pour into your own needs, fill up your own cup, it leads to the second habit. And the second habit is criticism. Now, one of the challenges is if our own cup is empty, it is way easier to criticize. It's way easier when we're feeling bad to notice the bad around us, to notice the things that we're dissatisfied if we're ultimately dissatisfied with ourselves. That's going to be the natural expression. That's how our brains are wired up. Whatever you're feeling in yourself, you're going to project, and you're going to begin to look to find evidence of that outside of ourselves if we're not noticing what we're noticing and going to the source of how we can solve that by filling up our own needs. It's natural to start criticizing, hey, this isn't right, or you're not doing that right. The challenge becomes, how do you make changes in maybe one of your needs is cleanliness? And you're like, I need to have a more organized house. And so you're going to your partner and you're describing how disorganized the house is and how they're not putting things in the right place. And that's going to be experienced as criticism. How do you get your needs met without criticizing the other person? So you can see how these two habits are actually linked, intertwined, and create this downward spiral if we're not aware of them. Here's the cool part. There is 100% a proven effective communication way where you can ask for your needs to be met, ask for a change to occur in the relationship without criticizing. So let's first unpack What is criticism? Criticism is one of those behaviors, all the researchers describe this, where it's a slow erosion of the connection in the relationship. A relationship can only take so much criticism before it just falls apart, before it just crumbles. We have to feel like we're doing a good job in the relationship. Both parties have to feel like they're enough, have to feel like they're living into what the other person wants. And so criticism is ultimately this comment that you are wrong and I am right. Criticism is you're not living up to the mark that I have set for us as a couple. And so the shift is to recognize that when it comes to living quarters, when it comes to dishes, when it comes to laundry, when it comes to all kinds of things, there is no right or wrong. There's just your way and your partner's way. And for us to hold respect that there's multiple ways of doing the right thing, you both are doing the right thing. But the idea here is to create an agreement of a shared vision of what you would love to do together. I'll give you an example of this. We have a pool and we love to swim in the pool. And so after the pool, I was washing the towels and I'm folding up the towels and I'm putting the towels in the drawer. My wife's done a lot of study on the difference between criticism and just feedback and making a request. And so criticism would be her coming in and say, honey, you're folding those towels wrong. The towels actually go like this, and showing me how to do it and putting them in the drawer. But what does that create, right? That creates that I'm wrong, she's right. Even though the towels are folded, the towels are folded in square, right? That's the way I like to fold the towels, as a square. How do you fold your towels? My wife likes them rectangle. She wants them skinny and rectangle because for that drawer, they actually more fit in if you have the skinny rectangle fold. So she comes in and she sees me not doing it her way, doing it my way with the square. And she's like, hey, honey, can I make a request? Would you be willing? Thank you so much for folding the towels. And would you be willing to fold them in this other way to support me? I love that phrasing because in that moment, she's not making me wrong, but instead she's literally just saying, can you deliver it this way? Because that ultimately would help me feel really good and we help us get more towels in the drawer. So there's a reason, there's a because. And when she approached me like that, I'm like, yeah, sure. Can you remind me how you fold it this way? And she showed me and I began to fold them that way. So the key here is to make a request, not by making the other person wrong. Hey, like in the house could be a disaster, right? Like you and I could both be in agreement that the house shouldn't look this way. We know this, the house shouldn't look this way. It still doesn't negate the fact that there's more than one right way to do things. And so it's all about having that agreement where you say, hey, honey, can I ask for a favor? Would you be willing to pick up and organize so that we can create a more clean living experience? I'm feeling myself getting overwhelmed. I'm feeling myself getting anxious with all the clutter that's everywhere. And it would support me if we had a more organized house. Would you be willing to agree to that with me? And creating these agreements is the foundation of trust and of love, and ultimately how we support each other in getting our needs met. So I promised you that I would share with you 3 best practices that overrides neglecting your needs and criticism. And these best practices are, number 1, know your needs. Know your needs. Be moved by the feather's touch. Tune in. If it helps you, get that game called Grok, G-R-O-K, and help you identify what your needs are. Maybe you've had a day like this. I remember there would be days where I worked all day, and at the end of the day, I felt like I had failed the day. And I was like, why am I feeling this way? I worked all day. And what I realized is that there are only a few activities that really propel my life forward. And if I miss those activities, I feel like it wasn't a productive day. It wasn't a well-lived day. And so and these 4 activities are my needs coming forward. And so I wrote these down and I printed them out and put them on my door. So I know that no matter what I do, no matter how many emails I get done this day, the days that I didn't feel fulfilled, I spent the whole day in meetings and I spent the whole day doing emails. And it was like, okay, yeah, I'm inbox 0, but really what moved my life forward? It's not being at inbox 0. And the things that I wrote down on my door were, number 1, connect with my higher power. Number 2, exercise. Number 3, do something creative, some creative content production that day. Write a video, record a video, stuff like this that will support you, right? That's super important to me. And then number 4 is family time. Actually stopping early enough that I can have some beautiful quality family time. If I do all 4 of those in one day, it's an amazing day. Even if I have 100 emails still left in my inbox, it's still a great day. So I've recognized it. Okay, those are the needs that I have: family time, connecting with spirit, exercise, and creative expression. If I'm doing that, I'm living my best life. So for you, if you were to pick 4, what are the top 4 needs that you have on a daily basis that help you make it a great day? The second thing, there's 3 practices. That's number 1, is know your needs. Number 2 is communicate it early. Don't wait until your tank gives you the red light on empty, because that's too late. When you're starting to notice that you're going down in a particular area, whatever it is, give yourself the grace, give yourself the priority, give yourself the decision in advance to say, I'm going to fill my cup, so that you can continue to be at your best for those that you love. And then number 3 is adjust as needed, because here's the cool part. Our needs aren't the same. They're not static, right? They ebb and they flow. You might have the need for connection and the need to be with friends and the need to surround yourself with loved ones. And then there might be a time where you have the need to be by yourself, or you might have the need to go be in nature, or you might have the need for whatever else it is. Really paying attention and adjusting as needed supports you in having that really flourishing, fulfilled experience. So my question for you is this: if you were to scan yourself and explore the different needs that you have, which one of your needs most requires being filled up for you right now? Go ahead and post that in the comment section below. I appreciate you expanding your awareness, putting on these practices to deepen your connection, to deepen the love that you're experiencing. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.